Hey guys, I am a beginner gardener, and today I will be reacting to a video by the Millennial Gardener titled Turn One Sweet Potato into 100 Pounds of Sweet Potatoes by Growing Sweet Potato Slips. Complete guide. Another long title. I am excited to watch this video because I am planning for the first time to grow sweet potatoes in my garden this year. I even built a special raised bed for them because there is no place I can dig them out in my yard without creating erosion for the hilly property that I live on. So I built a raised bed for them, and I need to create my sweet potato slips eventually. So I'm excited to learn more about that in this video.
What's going on, gardeners? It is Tuesday, April 13th, and today I'm going to show all of you how to start your own sweet potato slips from store-bought potatoes from start to finish, so you can grow your own sweet potatoes from whatever variety your heart desires for pennies on the dollar.
Yes, store-bought potatoes. That is what I am planning on doing. I do not want to spend a bunch of money on some specific planting sweet potato slips. I would much rather buy some organic potatoes from the store and see if I can turn those into hundreds of pounds of sweet potatoes. I probably won't grow hundreds of pounds. I'm just growing a few plants, but we'll see.
Sweet potatoes are one of those things that every gardener should be growing in their backyard, and that's because of how incredibly versatile they are and how easy to grow they are. Sweet potatoes love hot, humid weather. They love deluge rain. They're virtually impervious to diseases. They have almost no pests, and they can store for months at a time.
That's another thing I'm looking forward to, is how long sweet potatoes store. I really am looking for foods that I can store for a long period of time with little to no maintenance. Since I don't have any sort of special cellar or anything, I have a basement with some cool areas I can probably put them in.
Now, contrary to popular belief, sweet potatoes are not potatoes at all. They're not related to potatoes. They're actually the tuber from a morning glory vine. They're part of the morning glory family, and they grow from something called a slip.
I had no idea they were part of the morning glory family. That's an interesting fact.
And you simply stick those slips into the ground and they will root, and then they will grow roots, and those roots will turn into the tubers that you eat. While you can go to the grocery store and buy the good old orange sweet potatoes we all know and love, I recommend you go to a local Asian market if you have one and buy some of the varieties there, because in my opinion, they blow away the orange sweet potato. One of my favorites is the Murasaki sweet, but my absolute favorite sweet potato in the whole wide world is the Okinawan sweet potato. Now, the thing about these sweet potatoes are they're generally very expensive, especially the Okinawan sweet potatoes. This one potato costs something like $1.50, $2 just for this little guy. So I recommend you go to the Asian grocery store and you just buy 2 or so, because they will sprout and give you many slips that you can plant in the garden.
I never considered that an Asian market might have different varieties of sweet potatoes, because in the supermarket I've only ever seen the standard sweet potato. I don't know what the standard variety is called, but definitely not a purple one.
While you can order the slips online, they are generally very expensive. I see them for as much as $25 for a dozen slips.
Yeah, I have looked at some of the prices of slips online, and they are super expensive, even compared to, like he says, buying the most expensive variety of sweet potatoes at the grocery store.
You can't simply plant your sweet potatoes out after your last frost date like you can a tomato plant or a pepper plant. Things like tomatoes and peppers, while they're frost sensitive, they can tolerate dips into the upper 30s, low 40s. Sweet potatoes cannot. They are purely tropical, and they should not be planted outside until nights are consistently in the 50s or warmer.
Wow, I mean, I knew sweet potatoes were heat-loving, but I did not know they were even more sensitive than, say, tomatoes or peppers. That is good to know.
So you want to take your last frost date, add about 1 month, and then start your sweet potato slips about 60 to 90 days before then.
Okay, according to him, I should start my slips in just a couple of weeks, which is when I was planning to start them, so it's good to know I am on the right track. If I do 60 days, but if I did 90 days, I should have started them already.
So you can leave those sweet potatoes in the ground growing all the way until the vines get frosted. So even when your frosts start, the frost will kill the vines, but because the sweet potato tubers are insulated by the ground, they will not be harmed. To start your sweet potato slips, the most popular method that you'll find online is usually most people will stick toothpicks inside their sweet potatoes and they'll stick them halfway into a glass of water and let them root inside the glass of water. And while this will work, it generally takes a long period of time. The superior method is to take a moisture retaining potting mix like you see right here. Now all you have to do is you have to take your sweet potatoes and you simply lay them in this mix and kind of bury them about halfway into this moist potting mix. And these sweet potatoes will root for you like this. And they will develop these slips all over the place.
Okay, I was totally planning on using the water method that he mentioned, but I'm interested to know how this method works. Maybe I'll try out both and see which one's faster. I mean, that makes sense. In nature, that's how they root, by just being in moist soil.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this lid on here, but leave it a little bit cracked because I want it to build humidity, because sweet potatoes love warmth and humidity, but we need to let fresh air in daily. This box is going to sit in a sunny location that gets at least 6 hours of sun every single day, and the sun is going to heat it up and it is going to spur budding on all of these individual sweet potatoes, and that is going to turn into the slips that we can cut off and root later. Here we are on May 5th, and I'm so excited to show you how many slips have developed on my sweet potatoes.
Whoa, in just 22 days. I guess it's a good thing if I use this method that I haven't started them yet, because I don't think I want that much of a bush growing in my home when I can't put them outside yet.
Now, one thing that you will notice is that all of these sweet potato slips are coming out of this one very large potato in the back, and it's like that for a reason. The reason why is because this potato in the back is a Murasaki sweet potato that I grew last year and stored in November. So this sweet potato is 6 months old, and that's why it is rooting so readily. These other sweet potatoes I purchased from a grocery store, so they are much fresher. Therefore, it's going to take them more time.
Oh, I see. It's only one potato that happens to be really old and may have already been sprouting when he planted it that's having all the growth. So the others will probably take a bit longer than 22 days to see that amount of growth.
I want you to notice exactly how sweet potatoes root. Sweet potatoes are the root of a morning glory vine, and they root along the vine. So what you see right here are actually root nodes. So when you plant them, they will grow and attach into the ground, and they will become full roots.
Oh, that's another thing I didn't know, that there were root nodes along the vine that will just start growing in the ground.
And then as I remove them, I'm going to place them into this fresh pint glass full of clean, fresh water, because I want to preserve the roots. So I'm simply going to start cutting them off. And each of these sweet potato slips can actually be broken down into more individual slips, because they all have little root nodes on them. When it comes to actually separating your individual sweet potato slips, what you need to know is that each of these nodes, which is basically where where a branch comes out of the main stem and you see roots, each one of them can be separated as a new sweet potato slip. So here you can see there are two nodes. There are roots here and there are roots here. This is actually one sweet potato slip. So we can actually separate that because it has its own root structure. So same thing here. This is another slip. And then this is another slip.
Wow, it's kind of amazing just how many sweet potato slips have just sprouted out of that one old potato.
After the sweet potato slips have been harvested, what most people tell you to do at this point is to take the sweet potato slips and stick them in a glass of water for about a week or two to continue to develop the roots. I'm here to tell you that that is not actually necessary. In fact, last year I had sweet potato slips shipped to me from Etsy that were just cuttings that had no roots at all, and I stuck them right into the ground. I watered them every single day for about a week to keep them moist, and every single one of them rooted in about 1 to 2 weeks.
I'm beginning to think, with the size of raised bed I'm working with, that I will only need to buy one sweet potato in order to get enough slips for the entire raised bed. Of course, maybe it's best to get two, just in case I went all this time and that one is a dud. I'll think about it.
And now is the perfect time to do this. It's 6 p.m. at night. The harshness of the sun is gone. It's overcast, and there's a chance of a rain shower. So this is exactly when you want to plant your sweet potato slips. Don't plant them in the morning or the middle of the afternoon.
So what this guy is proving is that as long as you keep the soil moist, glasses of water or putting them in water is just unnecessary.
Because the harsh rays of the sun will be too much for them. It's very important that you put them in the evening when the sun has passed, so they have all night to acclimate, and you have to keep them wet while they root.
Good to know. Plant them at night, away from the harsh rays of the sun.
Now, each one of these sweet potato slips will be planted 1 foot apart from each other, so each sweet potato slip will have a full 1 square foot to grow in.
This is getting me so excited about growing my own sweet potatoes. I mean, just even those slips look so nice already.
Amended with an organic 555 slow-release fertilizer.
Now, I probably won't be using fertilizer, but I have filled my raised beds with some quality soil mixed with compost, and I think with as voracious as sweet potatoes seem to be, that will still produce a plentiful harvest without a man-made fertilizer.
So I'm simply going to take the slips and I'm going to place them directly into the planting hole, making sure that where the root nodes are, that they are completely buried, and I'm going to compact them all into the ground just like that. Now that they all have been planted, we are going to water them in really well, because it is critically important that we keep our sweet potato slips constantly moist for the first week or two until they get completely established. Here we are on May 12th. You can see how far the sweet potato slips have come along in such a short period of time. So it looks like that we have 100% transplant success.
That's always something to celebrate, is 100% transplant success. I love plants that are really easy to transplant, really easy to grow in general. I do like the challenge sometimes, but it's nice to know you have some plants that are so reliable that even if you mess up a little bit, you can probably still rely on a pretty good harvest each year.
And amazingly enough, look how many new slips I now have on my sweet potato all over again. I picked most of them off, and now I have dozens once again. And to make matters even more awesome, this sweet potato right here has started to sprout slips as well. So one single potato could literally produce enough sweet potato slips for dozens of pounds of individual sweet potatoes.
Wow, look at all those slips that one sweet potato is still producing. He is going to have an insane harvest.
And that is just amazing. As for the other sweet potatoes, they are also fresh from the market that they obviously will need a little bit more time to sprout slips, but I'm in no rush. We have long summers here, and I can't wait to get some of the Okinawan slips.
Man, he should really just pass out those slips into the community. Granted, you need some motivation and education and space to be able to plant those sweet potatoes, but man, just think of that one potato, how many people it could feed with very little effort.
And that right there is how you can turn one sweet potato into dozens of sweet potato slips, or dozens, if not 100 pounds of sweet potatoes. They are that productive. And
all right, that was an excellent video by the Millennial Gardener. Be sure to check out the original video. I'll leave it linked below. I learned so much from this video, and I think I am going to try his method, probably just with 1 or 2 potatoes bought from the store, in order to hopefully get a successful sweet potato harvest in my future. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to click that like button and subscribe. Goodbye.